Yo, 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 what's that word? This is the 3012 Inning Podcast. We about to knock it out the park. We got a lot to talk about today. I'm your host, Broderick Jackson. The first thing I want to discuss is Darius Garland. He's a young point guard for the Cavs. Really grew a lot over the past year when Colin Sexton got hurt. Had a great mentor, Ricky Rubio, averaging a career high 13 points a game. He ended up getting a 5-year, $193 million extension from the Cavaliers today. I think a lot of what allowed Darius Garland to grow over this year was the addition of Jared Allen from the Nets and also the drafting of Evan Mobley for the Cavaliers at number 3 overall. They provide great rim running opportunities for him. And Evan Mobley is so versatile. They might even help him even more out on the defensive end. They cover up a lot of, if people get past Darius, they're able to be right there to either block the shot or to tear the shot. And both of them are excellent defensive players and shot blockers in general. Darius Garland averaged 22 points a game, 9 assists, shot 51% from the mid-range, shot 43% from 30 feet, three-point range. That's better than Steph, Trae Young, and Luka Doncic. At that officially, his peers are only Chris Paul, Magic Johnson, and it was one more player. I can't remember off the top of my head, but he's in the realm of greats. He's on a good path. I think he deserved the money. I think he's going to be even better this year. He was an all-star backup reserve for the Cavs this year in Cleveland. I think he has a chance to be a starter next year. I think the Cavs have a chance to grow. They're still a young team, but they did make a huge commitment to him. The next thing we got to get into is Zion Williamson. Now, I know a lot of people got a lot of the negative things to say about Zion. They always talk about the man weight, saying extra heavy. It's been reported that he's even weighed up to 300 pounds. And I think a lot of that, when you take into account that weight and the reason why he's hurt so much, I'm not a New Orleans Pelicans doctor, but a lot of times when you have that much weight on you, it makes it hard when you're landing, especially as explosive as a guy as he is, when you're landing on all that weight to torque your bones. It makes it hard to recover from injuries, and your drive just be down, your motivation be low to get in shape. But I don't know if y'all seen the recent pictures of Zion, but it seems like he in the best shape of his life. Again, I'm not a New Orleans doctor, but it looked like instead of being his listed 284 pounds, he's about around 250. He also signed a 5-year, $193 million deal yesterday with the New Orleans Pelicans. And I think he's in for a career year if he's able to stay healthy. He already was putting up 27 points a game when he was healthy. And help could possibly on the way. I actually put in for an NBA trade today, and it went through. I think y'all find it very interesting. Obviously, the big fish out there is Kevin Durant from the Brooklyn Nets. The trade I put in was KD and a second-round pick for Miami, and the Pelicans sending out Brandon Ingram, Devontae Graham, 2023 first-round pick from the Lakers, a 2024 first-round pick from the Lakers, their own 2026 first-round pick, and a pick swap in 2027. Now, I know that sounds like a lot, but we're talking about one of the greatest players of all time. In my opinion, the top 15 player of all time. KD, CJ McCollum, Zion Williamson, and Jonas Valanciunas, definitely a playoff core and definitely a contending core. I know the West is extremely difficult, but with that much offense and versatility in the lineup, it's hard to see anybody beating them. And at this point, they still have a horde of their own picks, and they have picks still remaining from the Drew Holiday trade with the Milwaukee Bucks. So they're still sitting in great position to grab young talent and to make trades throughout the time that KD would be there, and as Zion continues to grow as a player and mature and learn as the game slow down for him. He already has the veteran poise when we see him on the court. Now, I know that hasn't been that often. He's missed over 100 games in his career already. But when he's been on the court, for the year he was playing, he averaged the most points in the paint in the NBA. Dude is simply a straight-up beast. Now, the last topic we're going to get to today is Rudy Gobert to the Minnesota Timberwolves. Now, I am a huge LeBron James fan, the GOAT, greatest of all time. I don't even want to debate it. But my undercover team is the Timberwolves, so I was very happy to see Andrew Wiggins win the championship this year. But if we're just sticking to Minnesota, obviously they made a trade for Rudy Gobert with the Utah Jazz. Now, what I liked and didn't like about the trade. First, what I didn't like. They gave up Patrick Beverley, Jared Vanderbilt, and 5 first-round picks, with 4 of them being picks and the 5th one being Walker Kessler, who they drafted in the first round this year. The thing I don't like about that is giving up Jared Vanderbilt. He was making a contract of 3 years, $13 million, but I actually loved him as a player. He's a modern 4, aggressive defender, great offensive rebounder. He's probably their most versatile player. Now, I understand why they felt like they probably had to do it, because Cat is going to be playing at the 4 now, but I still would have liked to see them give up somebody else, maybe even get D'Angelo Russell involved in the trade. I just think he was too much of a valuable piece to give up, even though I don't think it's a death blow. I mean, if you feel like you have a chance to compete for a championship, you have to do what you got to do, and he would have probably been shifted to a reserve role. So I understand it in a sense, but I still would have liked to see them keep him in some type of way. Now, for the thing I did like about the trade. For y'all that don't know, Cat is the best big three-point shooter in the NBA. Great floor spacer. I think Cat could be a more aggressive on the block, but as far as skill level, only Jokic and probably maybe Embiid has a better offensive repertoire than Karl Anthony Towns. Anthony Edwards is coming on to his own. He'll be a great pick and roll partner with Rudy Gobert, along with D'Angelo Russell, a great lob threat. It's going to be almost impossible to defend these guys on the offensive end, with the only weak spot possibly being the 3. But if they can get somebody that can shoot a little bit in that spot, maybe even shift Ant down there in smaller lineups, which we might not see that much of. But it also gives them a chance to have an elite center on the floor at all times. It helps out Cat a lot on the defensive end. He doesn't have to focus so much on being a shot blocker. And when you look at it before, he didn't have great perimeter stoppers on the perimeter anyways. So when players would get by the perimeter players, they would come into Cat. And I don't think it's about ability when it comes to Cat as far as the defense. I think it's about his mindset, his mentality. He doesn't have the best instincts when it comes to switching and when it comes to how he wants to contest the shot. Obviously, Gobert is probably the best in the league at the things I just described. So I think he's going to clean up a lot of stuff for Cat. I mean, he's probably going to have to with the small ball lineups on the league with Cat out there at the 4. But if you look at the offensive end, probably no 4 in the league is going to be able to guard Karl Anthony Towns, who decides to get down on the block. Again, if they can get a shooter at the 3, they got D'Angelo Russell and a shooter at the 3 and Cat out there spacing the floor. I don't think the lanes are going to be that clogged. They have a great coaching staff. They just hired Tim Connolly from the Denver Nuggets, a great executive, great at drafting. Actually was the person that originally drafted Rudy Gobert and traded him to the Utah Jazz. So I think it was a good deal for the Minnesota Timberwolves. I think they showed a lot of poise this year in the playoffs, even though they had that hilarious celebration in the play-in tournament where it felt like they won the championship. I think they can actually make some noise this year. And if we get the trade that I mentioned before with Kevin Durant to the Pelicans, I can see that as the Western Conference Finals. I don't want to make any bold takes yet before the rest of free agency and trade season works out. But I think that Minnesota has a lot of potential. They have a strong bench, strong coaching staff, young players, young budding talent. I think Cat's going to I think Anthony Edwards is going to take a huge leap this year. He's going to send to the top 5 of shooting guards this year, in my opinion, if he wasn't already there by the end of the playoffs. They got everything that you might want. So I feel like it's almost that time, and I think it was a trade that they almost had to make. So I want to thank you guys for listening today. Yeah, have a good one.